Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. I'm Prabhu Chawla. In the Bottom Line today, Shankkar Aiyar, I will discuss the declining dominance of dollar in the international market. People are looking for an alternative currency because Trump, the way he behaves, he freezes accounts of many people, including industries and countries, because he wants to put sanction all of them. Are people looking for an alternative currency for trade and exchange? That is what is happening because international trade has come down in terms of dollar. Will it survive for a longer period? Will dollar become a currency which nobody wants in the future? Let us discuss in the bottom line. Shankar, welcome to Bottom Line once again. Today we are going to discuss purely economics, or we can call it commerce as well, international commerce, because the dollar is in the news. In India, of course, the price has not fallen that much, but overall it seems the crave for dollar is declining. And people are looking for an alternative currency for international trade. Do you think what's new in this kind of situation as against what is your prediction the dollar will ultimately go down? What's the context in which we can discuss this? The dollar's dominance is declining.
Well, clearly the dominance has been declining because of the excesses of the US government over the past few years. And it is most visible now, manifest in a sense, because at the Hormuz Strait, toll being paid to Iran by ships is either in Chinese yuan or in crypto or Bitcoin and stuff. The other thing is that countries are trading with each other's currencies. For instance, China buys its oil from Iran, pays in yuan, buys its oil from Russia, pays in yuan, buys its oil from Saudi Arabia, pays in yuan. India buys oil from Russia.
Shankar, before going into who is doing what, let us get to the first problem. What is the problem happening? That declining is happening because of political reasons, international reasons. We'll go to the details who's buying what from what is the currency. We still, foreign exchange of the world all over are still held in 86% of foreign exchange are still in dollar. Trade. People are buying dollars, they are selling dollars, they're getting 86% dollars are still there in dominance. So in terms of currency, it has not gone down that much. It was the same about 5 years ago, it is the same even now. But in terms of trade, yes, it has declined massively post-Ukraine war. So is it geopolitical economics? So we have to go back into the history before coming to what is happening now. So just explain to me that is it something which was not predicted? It is predicted because Trump has come, therefore it has gone up. And it is more to do with geopolitical, strategic rather than economics.
So clearly, it is a geopolitical strategy, and all geopolitics, as you know, is about economics, domestic economics. So here, if we go back 50 years, when the US was coming out of the gold-backed dollar, gold standard, what they did is in 74, they went and did one very clever deal with Saudi Arabia, where they told Saudi Arabia that every barrel of oil sold will be denominated in dollars and will be paid for in dollars. So Saudi Arabia's trade in oil got them a lot of dollars, which was parked with the US or invested in the US, stuff like that. Now,
So
over a period, that is how the petrodollar was born. And that was very smart politics because demand for oil would always go up and engagement in trade in dollar would keep the dollar dominant. Even today, a large number of transactions are denominated in dollars. For instance, even at Hormuz, the payment is in dollar terms. The denomination is in dollar, $2 million. But it is taken in different currencies. So what has happened over the last 2 years, as you rightly said, geopolitics, the US has used its extraordinary powers to sanction countries, to attach Russia's $300 billion. And so countries have decided, okay, now this is not a party which can be fully trusted or wholly trusted. So they are creating plan B.
Basically, you're talking about the trend started after America froze about $300 million of Russian reserves, and after followed by or earlier because Iran was also frozen by them. So therefore, people are saying, why should we keep our money in dollar? Therefore, because they can freeze our dollars anytime they want to. Because through the SWIFT, if they want to do the trade. So the trigger was basically freezing Russian dollars foreign exchange. That could be one Russian after Ukraine.
So if we have to go a little further behind, the idea of using sanctions came after 9/11, George Bush administration. They created this weaponization of the transfer system, the SWIFT transfer system through which money flows. So every dollar transactions can be stopped because the US and the Europe control the SWIFT thing. So 2001, say if you see the percentage of central bank reserves in dollar started coming down, and now it is at 56 plus some percentage. And what is more is that a large number of countries are parking their dollars in gold.
That is another thing, which because reserves now the formation of the contour, the people not investing US Treasury, not keeping money there. But that is a different thing. But looking at the data, earlier you may say reserves are foreign exchange are still in terms of dollars. But when you come to export data, export trade about it come down from 70% to 52%, 54% now. So it means people are not trading in dollars. That is the one reflection is coming out at the moment.
Not, they may be trading in dollars, but they don't retain the dollars. They convert it into some other asset. For instance, China deals a large part of its trade surplus. 1.2 trillion is its trade surplus. A large part of it is in dollars. But what they do as soon as they receive, the receivables are converted into material. So over the last 7-8 months, China has been buying oil and resources. And then it is acquiring rare earth mines all over the world. So China earlier in 2008, after the global financial crisis, China was buying metals. So China does this. In fact, the interesting thing is China is the second largest economy with about $20 trillion. A large part of China's foreign exchange reserves, which is over $3.8 trillion, almost $2.8 trillion is not in US Treasury. It is in other places, in materials, resources, and currency. So
yeah, what you're pointing out is correct, because if you look at the figures which are available in the domain wherever you go, the bond treasury, which was US Treasury investment, which was about 50% in 2010, has come down to now about 30%. It means people are not investing their money in US Treasury bond. India also invested heavily, but they are withdrawing from there. So it's also one indication of that America is not becoming the trusted investment possibilities.
Correct. The other interesting thing, one of the things how America is aware of this and is concerned is India had actually sold about 26% of its US Treasury holdings. So when the new ambassador from US came, the new viceroy, and before he took charge, he went to Bombay, if you remember. And we were all discussing what was the click about the trade deal being announced 2 days after the budget. So this gentleman had gone to Mumbai and met the Reserve Bank governor, where they had a conversation about India's holdings of US Treasury bills. No, none of this was public, but 4 days later, the Reserve Bank governor in a press conference said, we are not selling US Treasury, it's just maintenance of reserves. So obviously the US is going and talking to other countries, and this is one of the issues. Now, there is also this theory that they're acquiring the oil fields of Venezuela and want the oil field of Iran, so that trade will be in dollars instead of those other currencies, and they will dominate.
So what is happening, Shankkar, according to what data reflects, is you are also saying the same thing. But over the past 1 decade, it has accelerated during Trump regime. People are losing trust that dollar cannot be a safe haven for keeping your investment for progress, because that is not safe, because it can be frozen anytime. Therefore, people are moving away from dollar to gold reserves also. As you look at the data which is available now, we say gold reserves, which were 13% about 25 years ago, have gone up to 25% now. People are keeping their money more in gold rather than in dollars.
So US Treasury was about 3.9 trillion. Gold has overtaken it and is now over $4 trillion are with central banks. And five central banks, China, India, Brazil, and all, they've been buying gold. So in the last 5 years, Prabhu, this has got accentuated or accelerated since the Ukraine war. And countries are buying, all the central banks together have been buying roughly about 1,000 tons of gold every year. Last year, थोड़ा कम था 800 टन था, but 1,000 tons of gold they've been buying and hoarding all their earnings in gold.
So holding money as your money, dollar is no more a badge of honor anymore. That I've owned so many billions of dollars is not going to be badge of honor, because we're always measuring wealth in terms of dollar even now. Do you think in the near future, people will not talk about in terms of dollar that Adani is worth so much, Ambani is worth so many dollars, $1 million? They will be defined in what currency then?
I still think that is far away because two things. Over 50% of global trade is denominated in dollars. US is the single largest economy, 32 trillion which is there. See, the white world or the Western world, as they call it, will always be counting in dollars. So then you add Japan to it. So around 50 to 60 trillion dollars of global GDP out of 117 is the global GDP. About 60 to 70 trillion dollars will always be denominated in dollars. So dollars dominance will be there. Whether the new economies, the growing economies, the fastest growing economy, the largest economies hold their reserves in dollars is the question that. So the moment this thing goes further, the dominance of the US so the US executes its military might in different ways. One is the army, the navy, air force. The other is it cuts off your finances. So it can sanction people, companies, countries. Iran has been under sanction for over 15 years. And these kind of activities, जो बोलते हैं ना अति हो गया, when it crosses a boundary.
Earlier there was an attempt was made. There was a euro, which was combination one currency for entire Europe. There were so many currencies. The euro did work because euro has become almost equal to dollar now. In terms of earlier, it was almost 75% of dollar because $1 used to call more than one euro. Now euro and dollar almost. Now euro is more than dollar in the international market.
Correct.
So euro was one currency which developed itself. Now we are looking at SCO, for example, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. There, India is part of that. China is there. South Africa is there. Brazil is there. So I'm looking at the data. The 97% of the trade was done in local currency now, which you were talking about earlier, how they are doing it the local currency. So these five countries, which is almost equivalent to, you can say, about $30 trillion economies. 30, more than around 30 trillion, which means about 25%, 20% of the total global trade GDP. So this is not successful so far because yuan is happening. You can have Brazilian currency because we are exporting, importing from each other. So do you think this beginning of Brazil, because now BRICS is also fighting on Iran war. They are not together. India is on one side, rest of the country on the other side. So do you think this is one challenge which can develop into a bigger challenge later once the Iran war is over, and then do you think BRICS will pick up?
I have doubts, Prabhu, because the reason why no alternative to dollar has come up till now, and which is why countries are parking in dollars, some in euro, some in other currency, is because all those people who are against this behavior of US and the dollar's domination are also against each other. It is like the Indian opposition, everybody is against the BJP, but they are against each other also. So this kind of thing, they are unable to come above it. Now the BRICS can succeed if India and China come on the same page, which is a challenge. The reason why the euro has not come up because euro has been a very conservative currency. So what is required for a currency to take off? it requires depth, availability, liquidity. Tomorrow, if Prabhu Chawla wants to say encash $1 billion, he should be able to go to the market and encash $1 billion, which is a challenge for euro, which has been a challenge for yen, which has been a challenge for won. These are the three currencies which tried. But BRICS has a different contour. So there is a possibility there, but not so far. I have my own hunch is that eventually part of the white world and the global south and others will come together and come to a consensus that, okay, let's have an alternative. Because the threat of the US sanction, of being seized, of being banned, I think has gotten out of hand.
Basically, you're talking about availability of dollar as a currency is still dominant there, because in terms of transactional volume, it is still the biggest. It will remain the biggest for the next couple of decades also. Because domination.
Also, they are the biggest borrowers, Prabhu. They have a debt of $37 trillion. So at any given time, you have $37 trillion of paper in the market, which no other country can produce. Even if China and India come together, they can't.
Because transactional dominance is still there. No? Dollar transactional dominance, because everybody trading in dollars at the moment. Yeah. The international ports rates are being quoted in dollars, exchange is quoted in dollars. And even people traveling abroad, they want dollar currency because do other currency. If you are going to a specific country, like, okay, I'm going to China, so I'll take yuan. But yuan is not available, easily available in the market exchange rates. So this means the dollar, basically, if you want to define the dominance of dollar, it is being because of geopolitical situation, because of the bully attitude of Trump there. Therefore, people don't want to talk, because they don't want to talk to Trump. Therefore, they don't want to talk to dollar also. So both have become inimical with each other. Because whatever they hate Trump, therefore they are hating dollar as much.
Yes. So there is another aspect to this, Prabhu. The reason why the US has been able to do everything in dollar and denomination is they control the institutions of finance, of trade, of, the airline association is with them, the World Bank is with them, the IMF is with them, the WTO, they control it. So when they control all these institutions, they ensure that the denomination of trade, any price, any cost is denominated in dollars. And that is where the starting point is. So that kind of domination has to come down. So the first step is happening because countries are now buying from each other in their own currency. There is some kind of barter happening.
Ultimately, structural dominance of dollar international currency has been structured in such a way that you can't do away with it. Because every home has a dollar, every city has a dollar, every seat has a dollar. Therefore, structurally, it has been so designed that it can't be replaced so easily. They are trying to push it back. But once that Trump is out of the office, there may be dollar may bounce back because it has got the structural, like BJP has got the organizational superiority. Dollar has got the structural superiority over any other currency.
Absolutely, very true. And if there is a more sensible or sane president and they sort of work with some collaboration or consensus, the countries will say, okay, so the first step that they will require is, some kind of control or border, the red lines on how the sanctions are done and how control is imposed. This threat of using the Russian money for rebuilding Ukraine, then there was one threat that the interest earned in the Russian frozen assets will be used to rebuild Gaza and Iran. All of these conversations will not help the dollar, actually will worsen the situation. But as you say, structurally the dollar is in place. So that's why I always say, dollar is dead, long live the dollar.
No, that's true. Long live the dollar, because possibility of, because you are buying everything, goods and services which are still available mostly from American establishment. Technology is coming from there, defense equipment is coming from there, finance is being led by American companies. Plus, you have the parallel ecosystem where all these services which are being goods and services being produced by American establishment companies. The top companies of the world are all American companies. Chinese are there, but Chinese companies are not accepted because the quality of their products is also questionable. Because they don't survive longer. Because whatever you get.
They are not global in that sense, like a Microsoft or a Google or something. or a
Or a
Tesla or
Boeing,
whoever, you know.
or a Boeing. You can have even Amazon. They all services companies also American. So there is
Yeah.
you mean to say, if you can be saying, dollar, as you rightly pointed, dollar is dead, but long live the dollar. In the future, if is Trump replaced by some more sensible person, dollar may survive again and bounce back.
Yes, yes, very much so. Very much so.
So what do the Chinese do, or what does India do, or what does Russia do to compete to cope with that kind of situation? They can always bounce back and say, okay, we are freezing your assets once again.
So I think that what will not change is that countries will always have a portion of their reserves, which they will assess as to so many months imports or so much emergency funding. They will keep in materials or in gold or in other currencies or in the banks of other countries. Like the Europeans keep their money with the Canadians keep the money, some of their money with the Europeans. So there is a deal there. So the
So,
Japanese also keep their money with euro. So people
it's
will
a question of,
have a plan B.
yeah. The question is coming basic thing is demand and supply question. But I am saying, so from a layman person, from the consumer angle, the demand for dollar is not going to fall much in the near future.
No, no.
So I don't want to say, okay, Indians will not be looking at a day when dollar will be available for 50 rupees because there's no demand for dollar.
Absolutely not possible. I don't think that
Maybe
is going to happen.
it will drop. Basically, demand for dollar will go up. Ultimately, dominance is coming down. Maybe trade maybe it's directly happening between various countries, but the international currency for circulation will remain dollar.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Shankkar. We'll discuss the subject next time. Let us say, okay, dollar is going to long live rather than dying in the future. But dollar dominance is definitely coming under pressure.
Yes.
Thank you, Shankkar.